There's a moment when you stare at your phone, typing out something honest, something real, but you never hit send, not because you're weak, but because you've grown. You realize that silence speaks louder than explanations, that no reply is sometimes the clearest message of all. And in that decision, a shift happens, not just in them, but in you. This video isn't about playing games. It's about the quiet storm of a man reclaiming his peace. It's about walking away without slamming the door, knowing that those who felt your presence will feel your absence even louder. You didn't vanish, you just stopped fighting for someone who acted like your effort was a burden. You didn't go silent to punish, you went silent to protect your soul. You see, when you stop reaching out, when your name no longer shows up on their screen, something begins to stir inside them. They notice, but they won't say it. They feel it, but won't admit it. And the longer the silence stretches, the louder your value becomes. They wonder why you haven't checked in. They check your socials, but never engage. They think about texting you, but stop. Pride holds them hostage. But your calm, your stillness, your refusal to beg, it all starts to echo in their thoughts. You've stopped showing up for someone who thought you always would. And that shift, that change, that quiet self-respect, it haunts them in ways they'll never confess. Marcus Aurelius said, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. And that's what this is, not revenge, but reflection. You were no longer emotionally available to people who didn't value you when they had the chance. So the question is, do they secretly hope you'll text again? Let's talk about it. I want you to drop this in the comments if you've ever held back from sending a message just to protect your peace. My silence speaks louder than any message I could send. Now let's break down the 7 signs that yes, they still hope you'll text again. Number 1, they never really closed the door. People who are done don't leave cracks open. But when someone still has feelings, conflicted, confused, unresolved, they won't give you full closure. They say things like, I just need space. It's not the right time. I still care about you though. These aren't full stops. They're emotional bookmarks. They're leaving space in your mind because they haven't decided whether to let you go or not. And when you don't chase, when you don't check in, it catches them off guard. They were counting on your emotional predictability. They thought you'd be the one to follow up. But when you didn't, that unfinished ending starts to itch. It creates mental friction. They start asking themselves, did I make the right choice? Are they really gone? You see, silence confuses people who are used to your attention, and it forces them to sit in the very uncertainty they left you in. Stoic wisdom says, to love only what happens, what was destined, no greater harmony. You didn't slam the door, but you didn't leave it ajar either. You simply walked away with dignity, and that unsettles them. Drop this in the comments if someone ever left you on pause, and I don't have to wait in doorways, I'll walk through them. Number 2, they watch you quietly. They won't text. They won't call. But they'll view every story. They'll scroll through your posts. They'll click on your profile at 2 a.m. when they can't sleep. You become a part of their digital routine, not because they're over you, but because they're not. Watching you is their way of staying connected without being vulnerable. It's silent curiosity, it's pride masked as indifference, but you feel it. You sense their energy lingering. Because people who don't care, don't check. Epictetus said, he who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at. But they're not laughing, they're observing, carefully, hoping to see signs that you miss them, hoping to feel missed without having to admit it. Your growth makes them nervous. Your silence makes them question everything. Comment this if you've been quietly stalked but chose not to react. I see the views, but I rise above the noise. Number 3, they try to poke the wound. They post cryptic quotes. They suddenly start showing off their life. They talk about moving on in a way that feels too loud to be real. It's performative. It's bait. They want to stir something in you, get a rise, pull you back into the emotional loop. But when you don't react, when you don't fall for it, they spiral. Because they didn't expect you to heal, they expected you to hover. But now you've grown into someone they no longer recognize, and it scares them. Stoicism says, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. You no longer estimate their approval as necessary for your peace. They throw emotional breadcrumbs, but you don't chase them anymore. You've tasted real peace, and you're not going back to chaos. Drop this in the comments if you've stopped reacting to emotional games. I do not respond to noise. I protect my peace. Number 4, they ask about you but never ask you directly. This is where pride meets longing. They won't message you, that would be too obvious, but they'll ask mutual friends how you're doing. They'll bring your name up in conversations, masked in casual curiosity. Have you seen them around? Are they still single? What are they up to these days? It's not just small talk, it's soft surveillance, it's indirect connection. They want updates without being vulnerable. Because asking you directly means opening the door to rejection. But asking about you? That feels safer. They think maybe, just maybe, you'll hear they've been asking and you'll reach out. But you've detached from that loop. Marcus Aurelius said, let not your mind run on what you lack as much as on what you have already. You don't need their confusion. You don't need to hear they've been asking. You already know your worth. And those who ask around but not directly, they feel your absence, even if they don't have the courage to face it. Drop this in the comments if you've ever been quietly asked about. If they can, but ask me directly, they don't deserve a reply. Number 5, they break the silence in subtle ways. It starts small, a random emoji reaction, a like on an old photo, a comment that feels harmless but intentional. These aren't accidental, these are pressure tests, little nudges to see if you'll bite. They were hoping your response will reopen the line of communication without them having to fully apologize or admit they miss you. It's their way of saying, "Wait, I'm still here," without saying it out loud. But you don't respond because silence is not your punishment, it's your boundary. You're not waiting for a ping to define your day. You've shifted your attention to your own peace, your own growth, your own healing. And that's what unsettles them. They underestimated your strength. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And you've chosen not to react because real men don't take the bait. They walk away with dignity. Drop this in the comments if you've seen those subtle signs but refused to engage. I don't chase signals, I live in clarity. Number 6, they haven't truly moved on. It might look like they have. New photos, new people, new routines, but deep down it all feels hollow. You can tell when someone is performing peace instead of living it. They may show the world they're fine, but you know their silence isn't strength, it's suppression. The truth is, your silence forced them to sit with feelings they didn't want to face. They thought you'd always be there. They thought they had time. But now you've gone still. And that absence has created a void they can't fill with noise or novelty. As the Stoics taught, to be calm is the highest achievement of the self. You've achieved that. And in doing so, you've become a mirror, reflecting back everything they didn't want to see. Comment this if you've watched someone pretend to move on. They post peace, I live it. Number 7, they still reread that last message. The last thing you sent, the message they never replied to, they still think about it. Maybe it was honest, maybe it was your goodbye, maybe it was you saying nothing at all. Whatever it was, it stuck. Because silence after realness has a way of lingering. They didn't reply, but they reread it. Not once, many times. It echoes, it challenges them. It reminds them of who you were and what they've lost. And now, in the silence, that message plays louder in their mind than any conversation ever could. Stoicism tells us man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties. And now they imagine. They wonder, they doubt, and in that quiet suffering, they hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, you'll say something again. But you won't, because peace doesn't knock twice. Here's the reality. You'll never truly know how often they check their phone for your name, how many times they type a message and delete it, how often they pause in silence and think about you, because pride is a mask and regret is a quiet ghost. But none of that matters if you're still living for validation. Your job is not to decode their silence. Your job is to live so loudly in your peace that their silence doesn't matter anymore. They may secretly hope you'll text. They may even crave it. But the man you've become, he doesn't need to chase closure. He is the closure, the peace, the freedom. If you felt this, if this message cut deep, if you've been holding back from texting someone who doesn't deserve your energy anymore, then drop your final affirmation in the comments. My energy is no longer available where it isn't respected. And if you're serious about mastering emotional discipline, staying grounded, and never letting someone's inconsistency shake your worth, subscribe now, because the moment you stop trying to be remembered is often the moment they realize what they lost.